There are many notable dishes created or at least remain associated with the country of Austria. Perhaps the most famous of these dishes is the Wiener Schnitzel. Schnitzelwirt in Vienna has been around for decades and is very popular. They may also have the best schnitzel in the city, so I just had to try it. Today I am here in the fine city of Vienna, Austria. I'm on my vacation and I'm having an incredible time so far. Currently I'm just doing a bit of relaxing here in my hotel room. I'm staying at the Weekend Hotel and so far it's been a pretty pleasant stay for me. I'm really liking my room. It's nice and clean with good modern touches, but I'd like to talk about the lunch I had today where I enjoyed a pretty damn fine schnitzel. You know, with every place you travel to, you kind of got a checklist of certain dishes that one should try. Like for New York, you have to have bagels, you have to have pizza, you have to have pastrami. For Vienna, schnitzel is one of the must-have dishes. So I did a lot of research trying to find the restaurant with the best Wiener Schnitzel in Vienna, and there really is no consensus. There are a hell of a lot of places that serve various forms of schnitzel. If I recall correctly, I even think I saw a 2 Michelin-starred restaurant with Wiener Schnitzel on their menu. In summation, I found a lot of places that probably serve very promising versions of the dish, but one restaurant kinda stood out. I'm talking about Schnitzelwirt. The place has been around for a while, it's very popular, and it's conveniently located within walking distance of my hotel. As a result, I planned on having dinner there yesterday. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. You see, I had a full day of sightseeing planned for yesterday. I first checked out the iconic St. Stephen's Cathedral, which was absolutely beautiful. When I stepped through those doors, my jaw just hit the floor. It was so stunning. I then climbed up the winding staircase of the church's south tower for some truly spectacular views of Vienna. I then, and I'm very proud of this fact, I exercised some self-control and just had a light lunch. I went to just a random sausage stand and got a simple sausage, which was pretty decent. I knew that I was probably gonna have a very filling dinner at Schnitzelwirt, so I couldn't stuff myself. I then walked around on some of the nearby streets and saw some really impressive looking monuments and statues, and then I went to St. Peter's Church, which was almost as stunning as St. Stephen's Church. As luck would have it, I entered St. Peter's right as an organ concert began, which was pretty nice to hear. Then I had kind of a mediocre affogato at Anchor Bakery and, well, at least I got caffeinated. Finally, I went to the Sigmund Freud Museum, which is housed in the apartment that Freud lived and worked in for 47 years of his life. I'm not really a fan of Freud or anything though, but to be in a place where one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century lived and worked, that was pretty cool. After finishing with the museum, all I had to do was go to Schnitzelwirt, but I got distracted. You see, I stumbled across this sort of beer event, and with traveling, you gotta be flexible. So long story short, I really took advantage of that beer event, and by the time I was done, it was too late to go to the restaurant. Although I still actually had a very good dinner last night. I went to Cafe Condel and absolutely loved it. Such a cool restaurant, the food was delicious and pretty creative too. It ended up being a really great day. But today I wasn't going to get distracted again and I ended up having a very nice lunch at Schnitzelwirt. Schnitzelwirt is located in Neubau, the 7th district of Vienna. It was over half a century ago that the restaurant was founded by the husband and wife team of Gunther and Helen Schmidt. Today, the establishment has been passed on to their daughters, who continue the tradition of offering sizable schnitzels at fair prices. Since it was a Saturday and likely the most busy day for the restaurant, I arrived at Schnitzelwirt not long after it opened around 11 a.m. for lunch. While the restaurant has a decent amount of outdoor seating, I opted for a table inside instead. The interior of Schnitzelwirt has a cozy, homey sort of feel. There are multiple rooms in the restaurant and a bar with some pretty amusing stools. After I settled in, I began looking over the menu. While Schnitzelwirt of course specializes in schnitzel, the restaurant also serves a variety of traditional Austrian specialties. I figured that I should also get an appetizer in addition to my schnitzel. Regarding the schnitzel options, however, there were a number of delicious sounding dishes, but since it was my first visit to the restaurant, I thought that I should lean towards simplicity, so I ordered a wiener schnitzel. In terms of beverages, it was somewhat limited, but I got a half liter of the Krugel beer. The beverage certainly hit the spot. It was shaping up to be a warm day in Vienna, and that beer really quenched my thirst. Plus, it had pretty good flavor and paired perfectly with my schnitzel, which I would be eating later. First, however, I had my appetizer to contend with, which was presented to me pretty quickly after I ordered. I got the Leberknudelsuppe, or as it's known in English, the liver dumpling soup. I always like trying new things when it comes to food, especially when I'm traveling. However, I wondered if I made the right choice as I was debating between two soups, with the other being the Frittatensuppe, which is a soup with fine strips of thin pancakes. Pancakes are delicious and fun, and here I was staring at what I thought was a baseball-sized ball of liver sitting in a pretty large bowl of soup. Regardless, I made my decision and I was gonna have to eat my way out of it. Thankfully, the soup wasn't as sinister as it looked and sounded. I actually liked it. The massive ball luckily wasn't pure liver. It's a dumpling after all, similar to a matzo ball. It was bready and dense, but had good flavor. The broth was nice and hearty too, with a pleasant, meaty taste to it. There were also vegetables in the soup as well, like carrots. Overall, I was somewhat surprised with how much I actually enjoyed the dish. It's definitely something that I would order again. After finishing the soup, it was on to the Wiener Schnitzel, which was actually presented to me just as I was finishing my appetizer. I found that the service moved pretty quickly at Schnitzelwirt. The Wiener Schnitzel was epic. It basically seemed like there were two portions on my plate. Presentation-wise, the dish was as simple as could be, with only a slice of lemon topping the schnitzel. First, I squeezed a bit of that lemon onto the meat, and then I dove right in. The schnitzel was immensely satisfying on a number of levels. First off, the meat had great flavor and was pretty moist. I've had so many dry and boring schnitzels in the past, but Schnitzelwirt's offering certainly wasn't one of them. Now, it must be pointed out that traditional Wiener schnitzels are made with veal, while my schnitzel may have been made with pork. There's a notation on the menu in the schnitzel section noting that the dishes are crafted with pork. Whatever meat that was, I frankly didn't care because it was absolutely delicious. It was pounded thin and was very tender. The breading on the meat was fantastic as well and texturally on point. It was crispy, had great flavor, and perfectly hugged the meat of the schnitzel. The bit of lemon I squeezed on my dish earlier was a nice touch to give the course notes of citrus and acidity. All in all, Schnitzelwirt's Wiener Schnitzel proved to be an example of delicious simplicity. I loved it, and I also loved just how damn big it was. Since it came in two halves, it's very easy to share, but I sure as hell wasn't going to be doing that. Although one thing that I should have done was gotten a side like fries or some sort of salad just for the sake of variation. Normally, with most restaurants, I know exactly what I want to order before I even arrive. However, there wasn't a menu that I could find on Schnitzelwirt's website, and my server asked for my order pretty quickly. Next time I would definitely get a side, but I was enjoying my lunch nevertheless. Now, even though it was early in the day, Schnitzelwirt filled up quickly, and an older gentleman asked if he could sit across from me as there were no open tables available. I of course said yes. As a single diner often myself, I know how difficult it can be at times to get a table at a restaurant. In fact, I've often heard that Schnitzelwirt seats strangers with other couples if there's room at a table. I didn't mind sharing my space at all. He was a local who was very nice and gave me some good tips about what to do in Vienna. Soon enough, I finished my schnitzel and requested the bill, which totaled to 21.70 euros, but with my tip, I spent 25 euros even. Now, it should be pointed pointed out that Schnitzelwirt is cash only, which I'm not a fan of. But fortunately, the restaurant is pretty affordable. In US dollars, my bill, including the tip I gave, would total to a bit over 27 bucks, which was not only a great price from what I'm used to paying in New York City, it was also pretty good value for Vienna. My lunch at Schnitzelwirt was a good one. The restaurant certainly lived up to the hype. So that was a pretty tasty schnitzel. That was definitely one of the best schnitzel dishes that I've ever had. Is it the best schnitzel in Vienna? How the hell should I know? I've only been here for 3 damn days. But what I can say, it was a pretty damn fine schnitzel. The place is popular for a reason. I really like the restaurant overall. I'm not a big fan of the cash only thing, but still, it was a very tasty schnitzel. Now, I was kind of more so intrigued with some of the other varieties of schnitzel rather than just the plain wiener schnitzel, but since it was my first time, I felt obligated to get the wiener schnitzel, and I have no regrets about that because it was delicious, but next time I'm definitely getting something a little more exotic, and I'll definitely be getting a side dish. So is it touristy? Maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, who the hell cares? Because the food tastes good, it's priced right, everyone's really nice and friendly. That's what counts. In summation, I had a wonderful Wiener Schnitzel at Schnitzelwirt, and I'll definitely be back.